Hi everyone, welcome to the pilot episode of Ecom 365. I'm co-founder and CEO of ShopAgain. In Ecom 365, we will try to answer the challenges that e-commerce businesses and marketers face in their daily life. And to set up this premiere, I have a special guest for today, Dave. He's been in e-commerce industry for over a decade, which means he comes with a fair share of experience. Hi Dave, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How long have you been in the e-commerce industry, Dave?
So I started with internet marketing in 2007. So it's been a while. And what's crazy is like in marketing, it's always a moving target because I used to run Google ads and things like that. And that's a whole different thing now. There wasn't Facebook ads back then, but email has remained pretty consistent for the most part. There's been a few little changes along the ways, but it's been a really effective marketing tool. It's been very consistent.
Do you think the adoption for email marketing has changed over the years?
Yeah, it was really popular early on, but then people started spamming. And so like maybe 5 years ago, email marketing became less popular, despite still being effective. It just fell out of style. And now people are realizing it's far and away like you get your biggest bang for the buck as far as marketing dollars spent from email marketing. And you have to be doing it right. You can't be spamming people. You've got to be having a conversation with people, leads or customers, people who are interested in your product and want to hear more about it, or customers who you've already sold the product to and want to continue selling to and having a relationship.
So that sums up to don't spam people, talk to people who are talking back to you.
Yes, exactly.
One question I frequently hear from e-commerce businesses, when is the right time for an e-commerce store to start focusing on email marketing?
Yeah, before you start paying money for ads, if you're buying money on Facebook or Google ads or whatever, you have to have a way to communicate with your leads to turn them into customers via email, even before you spend that first marketing dollar. You want to just get something set up initially before you start spending money on other marketing dollars. And they go hand in hand.
That makes a lot of sense. Could you tell a little bit more about that? What is this initial setup that people should have in the very beginning?
So there's 5 main flows that I think that everyone should have, but 2 in particular that you have to have that probably generate 80% of your sales. So you want your welcome series flow, and that's for new leads. They come into the flow and you start having your conversation with them where you're telling them about your brand, offering them products, explaining the benefits, etc. And then you want to have a buyer flow. So people have already bought, then they get transferred over from that welcome series flow into the buyer flow. Yeah. We also want the abandoned cart flow. And that's just 2 emails. That's one goes out 90 minutes after they leave the cart without purchasing. The other goes out the next day, 20 hours later.
Just setting up some of these basic flows already puts you ahead of most of the competition.
You're going to be able to outspend your competition on Facebook and Google ads because you're going to convert your traffic at a higher rate, because you're developing that relationship with the customer on the back end with email.
Yeah. And you get to own the email marketing channel, unlike Facebook. Facebook can shut you off any day and you won't have anything left. But at least on email channel, you have those customers. You can still reach out to them, build relationship with them. There is one line I've heard quite a few times from you. Every email is not a sales pitch. I really like that. Would you mind educating our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't want to just be pitching and sending offers to your customers. You want to build a relationship. One of the emails should be an email from the founder explaining why you're doing what you're doing. Why did I start this business? Like most business owners started a business because they're passionate about the product. And it's funny because they're afraid to share that passion and excitement with people. People love that, something that's relatable that they can connect with. So when the founder comes on and shares their story as to why they started their business, that's a really powerful way of connecting with the people. And there's no pitch. It's just, here's why I started this. Here's why I believe in my product or service I'm offering. If you sell nutritional supplements, just say, hey, here's 5 ways you can exercise while traveling at your hotel if you don't have access to a gym. You're giving a benefit to your audience who's health conscious and would be interested in that kind of information. Or here's an email with 5 desserts for the Super Bowl. They're healthy versions of traditional Super Bowl snacks.
So basically, they can add a lot of educational content, and even the content they put out in blogs or social posts, even in their ads, they can reuse that content, put that in emails as well, just to stay in touch with their customers.
Absolutely. And that's what we do a lot is we'll just link to a blog post, say, hey, you're interested in finding out about this piece of information. We've got a great podcast on it. Yeah. So you're recycling your podcast
Yeah.
information into the email, providing benefit to your customers at the same time.
Makes a lot of sense. You generate some content, reuse it.
Yep.
All right. One question which I keep hearing from people, what can I do to make sure the emails I send don't go in a spam? So what are the good
Yep.
practices which people should follow?
That's a great question. I actually had one recent client and one I'm speaking to right now who had that exact issue. Their emails are going to spam. Their open rates are 10%. So 3 key things you need to do. Number 1, you need to set up your DKIM and SPF record. Without going into detail, it's just a techie thing that you do. It's making sure that you're sending from your domain name. So if you don't understand it, contact your email service provider. They can help you with that. Set up your DKIM and SPF records. And then you have to make sure you're not just mailing your whole list. Start by just mailing people who have opened in the last 30 days, right? So list you're going to, just make sure that's only going to people who have opened in the last 30 days. Do that for 2 weeks, and then you can go up to like people who opened in the last 60 days. And then once every 4 to 6 weeks, you can email everybody to try and re-engage them and get them back into people who have opened. But if you just do those 3 things, you should be seeing like 40, 50% open rates essentially. Don't email more than twice a week, roughly.
Yeah, a lot of great points here. It comes down to the point, don't spam people. Talk to people who are talking back to your brand. It brings to that initial point. And set up your domain records as well. Engage more with people who have recently opened, clicked your emails. All great points, Dave. What is your one piece of advice that you would like to give our audience?
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah. So I'll go with 2 sort of pieces of advice. Number 1, email, do it. If you're not good at it yourself, hire someone to do it. But number 2, remember that stories sell, okay? So share little story. For example, one of my clients sells men's dress shoes, like super casual, comfortable men's dress shoes. So I wrote an email just sharing a simple story about how I was at a wedding recently. And it's a true story. It was at a wedding. It was in Atlanta, like out of town wedding. We all get together. One of my buddies was complaining, I never wear these dress shoes. They're super uncomfortable. 30 minutes later, the dress shoes that he never wears and they're old and uncomfortable, the sole falls off. So now he's got one shoe with no bottom on it. 30 minutes after that, the other shoe sole falls off. So he's like limping around the wedding the rest of the night. So that was a really great yet real story to share with people about, and everyone's experienced that. You go to a wedding, you never wear your black dress shoes and you wear them and they're uncomfortable. So hey, if you have any weddings coming up, order right now. These, it's a great deal. These are super comfortable, guaranteed. And that did extremely well. And any emails where I can get a real life story like that and share that with people work well. Stories sell. That's the number 1 piece of information.
That's a great campaign idea. So, all of those business owners out there thinking, what should I send an email to get a lot of engagement? Share your real life stories. They love that. And you don't come off as a spammer. You come off as a real person sharing his or her own experience with your customers. And that's very powerful. A great piece of advice, Dave. Thank you for joining us, Dave. I feel we've learned a lot of good stuff about emails today. Finally, if you have any questions about e-commerce in general, email us. We will have them answered by an expert in the future episodes. This episode was sponsored by ShopAgain.io, an AI-powered customer retention platform. Thank you for joining, Dave.